Good morning. Good morning. Okay, you guys, I have my fabulous partner in crime over here that finally got my the computer up and running for me. So hopefully you guys are able to see me a little bit better now. And thank you guys for being here with me today. I'm so excited to be with you. I just want to talk to, and if you guys will, because I'm always grateful to see them myself, and I know everybody asks you to do this, but please share some gratitudes in the chat box. I think, you know, one of my favorite mentors has always taught me that gratitude is the antidote to life, that no other fear can exist with that emotion. It's the one emotion statistically proven that cannot exist with others. So get in a place of gratitude, you guys. I love that we start our mornings out with that. So just today, I'm so excited to be with you guys. This week, I had the opportunity to host prospecting school with Judy Forden. And there were a few things that really have just been brought to my attention that are more critical in today's market than they ever have been before. And one of the things that I would just tell you, I'm a firm believer that we have to get back to our skill sets, right? We have to make sure that we're honing in on the little things. For those of you who don't know, I'm just putting it out there now. And if George is listening, hopefully he is. I will beat him on the golf course in a year from now. That is publicly known right now, right? But one of the things that I would tell you guys is I am actually taking golf lessons, and thank goodness I am. Because one of the things that was reiterated to me on Sunday morning was how critical the fundamentals are in everything that we do, right? I have now taken 4 lessons. And on my 4th lesson, he's now correcting my grip just a little bit more. For those of you who know golf, I used to lock my finger. And because I'm so used to playing softball, 24 years of it, I want to swing for the fences. So the immediate thing I do when I lock my finger is I want to grip that golf club even more. And for those of you who know golf, not necessarily gripping it as hard as you can is probably key to actually making sure your swing goes further. So we tweak that little thing. So what I mean and why I share that story is I want you guys to think about what little fundamentals do you need to get back to make sure that you're actually going that much more successful. So the 2 days that me and Judy were talking in prospecting school, there's 3 things, as I was thinking about what I could talk to you about this morning, is there 3 things that I specifically think are critical today than they ever have been. And really are the fundamentals to our business and the fundamentals to the aspects of what we need to do. So for those of you who have never heard this before, there's 4 things that George will often refer to, right? We have first, as a job of a real estate agent. And quite honestly, whether you're in title or whether you're in mortgage, it's the same concept. I coach some of you that are in mortgage as well. You don't have a different job. As Jim Rohn will always say, life is a game of sales. Whether we're selling people on how to use us in mortgage, whether we're selling people on our value that we offer as a real estate agent, whether we're selling, you know, just another real estate agent to come to Century 21 from my team, whether I'm selling people or maybe even Rick on the idea of where we're going to lunch today. Guys, life is sales. So these concepts are more critical than they ever have been in all aspects of your communication, period. Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk to is your job. So job, we talk to our job as a real estate agent or in the business, period, right, is our ability to practice. And I know a lot of you were with Rick this morning, but our key thing is we have to be role playing. You guys, when I first started in my position, I had 5 role play partners. Every single day, they were different role play partners. And if they didn't show up for my role play and able to get good, let's just put it this way. In golf, you don't have a team member who shows up. Right? Yes, I have my golf coach once a week, but you have to get into the mindset of yourself. And so practicing and making sure that you're practicing. If you're not actually practicing yourself, so making sure that you're role playing, if you don't have that role play partner, if you're not showing up to Rick, who is the coach in the morning, right, is that you actually are showing up to make sure that you're practicing for yourself. Are you practicing the scripts? Are you chanting them? Are you listening to them? Are you recording yourself? Are you paying attention to the ebbs and the flows of your tonality? Are you actually doing the practice yourself? Maybe even writing them out 5 times, like I told the group this week. Okay. The second thing is our ability to actually prospect. I know as real estate agents, you guys hate that word, right? Talk to people, whatever it may be. But I will say to you what my coach said to me in my prospecting, because guess what, guys? I'm an expressive. I hated the word too. Why? Because prospecting comes with rejection, right? And one of the things that I would tell you is my coach said to me, it is your job to prospect. You guys, the people who are good in our business are good because they understand what their job is on a daily basis. They act as a professional, not just another real estate agent. I know that might be a sting, but please, because it was to me when my coach said it to me, but your job is to prospect every single day, right? And then the third thing is our ability to present. Now, whether that is, I always will say, to the listing side of things, or whether that is to the buying side of things. Your ability to present. And are you that typical agent that is taking a listing in 3 hours on average? Or are you that agent who's getting the deal done in 45 minutes or less? Are your skill sets that great that you bring that much value to the table? Then the second part of that is your ability to actually present to a buyer. You guys, are you that typical agent who just sets agents up on, or your clients up on an auto hot sheet? Or are you actually going and doing the research? Are you maybe even previewing the homes for those of you who are newer in the business to see if it's actually something they like? When you're out with your buyer, are you taking notes to go, oh, they really don't like this. This is actually not a priority to them, right? And being able to present at a higher level or at some level, and I always will say this, confront your clients like you're supposed to, okay? Because they've hired you as a professional to get the job done. And then the fourth part of that is your lead follow-up. 75% of your business, you guys, is going to come from your lead follow-up in today's market. Okay. And I bring these 4 things up because I want to specifically speak to this one. So your lead follow-up. As we were talking about this at the prospecting school, Judy brought to my attention, right, and asked me to share with her my concept of lead follow-up. And one of the things that I've overseen through the years of coaching, whether it's a real estate agent, mortgage, whether it's, you know, the aspects of recruiting and helping brokers and managers grow their company, one of the things that I've realized, you guys, is 75% of your job, your prospecting is only as good as your lead follow-up. Okay. If you're not following up with your prospecting or your prospecting, sorry. If you're not following up with your prospecting, there's no point of you even prospecting. So 2 things that I want to point out to you, and I want you guys to write this down. And it's just something that I've learned over the years is number 1, you have your, what you call your lead follow-up. I know this is going to be a different concept for some of you. Okay. You have what you call your lead follow-up. That's my now business. Guys, this is where you should have a minimum standard for yourself of how quickly these people can move into action. Is it 7 days? Is it that they're going to be able to get an application done in the next 24 hours? What does it look like for you? Your lead follow-up. So I call this your now business, right? Making sure that you're paying attention to that now business. These are people that I am following up with every single day, maybe weekly, but they're in my now business. And the second part of this is, and I know this is going to be different for you guys, but I want you to think of it, and this is something that just clicked for me, is what I call my lead follow-up. These are guys that may not be my now business, may not be my minimum standard. And in today's market, we have to make sure that we're following up with those people. And even more so because of the circumstances that we've been in with everything last year, you're going to have people who aren't going to be moving into action in the next 7 days. You may have people who say, call me at the end of the school year. You may have people saying, hey, I want to get into something before the school year, right? So as we always will say, cut that time in half, whatever they tell you, okay? And make sure that you're following up with these people on a monthly basis, whether it's bi-weekly, maybe for some of them. And one of the things that I've always done, so I have my appointments book, which is essentially where my people that go that I've actually met with. And then I have what's called my lead follow-up. And those are people that I've met with that maybe said, hey, I'm not interested. Hey, give us a couple months. I'm following up with them in a couple months. And those people are going to go in what I call a tickler system. And for those of you who don't know me, I am very old school. I've tried to use Pro Agent and all these other different things for myself. I would tell you guys, use whatever system's going to work for you. I've now gotten to the point where I use a little bit of Excel and I still use the paper. Okay, so whatever's going to work for you, make sure you use that. For me, I'm very visual because I'm expressive. So I have to have those things in front of me to remind me to do them. Okay, I'm not as great at the whole technology thing as some people are, but use the system that's going to work for you. So your lead follow-up. Okay, there's some points that I really want you guys to pay attention to as you're doing your lead follow-up. And I want you to write these down. Number one, call with energy and enthusiasm. Call with energy and enthusiasm. I'm not talking about bring some energy to the call, outdo them for all my expressives, because you will outdo them in most cases, right? I'm saying, get on that phone like we did at prospecting school this week and have a smile on your face. Make sure that what I always will say, how we practice is how we present. And I know I have now Ruby and Rick with me today, but I know they both agree with that, right? And so one of the things that I would just say is make sure that you truly call with energy and enthusiasm, a smile on your face, that you're excited to talk to these people. The second thing that I would say, and these are just my things that I've learned over the years. So energy, right? And enthusiasm. The second part is what personality style are they? Early on in the years, I had a coach that actually told me, Lindsey, your job on your prospecting calls is to find out who your client is. The reason why we use scripts, because I was much like all of us who say, well, I'm not going to use a script. That's just not who I am. Guys, let me tell you something. It's not about you. It's about your client. And that script actually allows you to be present for your client once you learn it and memorize it and internalize it. I promise you, just for those of you who are new, go with the benefit of the doubt, submit to the process, as George would always say, learn your scripts and dialogues. But your personality style, why would I want that? It's because when I come to my call for lead follow-up, I'm not coming to my call as Lindsey. I'm coming to my call as Rick, the expressive, right? Or maybe the driver side of him that shows up on occasion, okay? But if I'm coming to my call with that, and I have an amiable that I'm trying to get to move into action through my lead follow-up, that's going to be a little bit harder, right? There's certain things that you need to bring. Then the third thing that I always will say, so personality styles, you guys, it's just key. Remembering who your client is and making sure that you're bringing to the table. Maybe I do as an expressive driver. So me and Rick are very similar, right? That as an expressive driver, my energy, enthusiasm, I'm still going to keep it. But for those of you who know me, and as you can see, I love to talk with my hands and everything else, right? With my amiables, I, as an expressive, have to bring it down a notch. And I might come in a little bit softer. And I might ask them more feel, felt, found questions. Okay, so it's critical. Again, I'm being who they need me to be, not who I need to be to get them to move into action. How am I going to get that amiable to move into action? How am I going to turn this 7-day lead into now business? Okay, and then the third part to that is your notes, you guys. I often get told, or I should say I did get told, that I was the pit bull with lipstick when it came to prospecting and lead follow-up. Well, I will tell you the reason why is because I did this. I knew what was going on with my clients. I knew what was going on. I remember early on, and this was in recruiting, but I remember early on, Heidi Costain, hopefully she's listening because I love sharing this story. But the reason why she joined our company, she said, is because Lindsey, when you called me, you knew what was going on with my mom. You knew what was going on in my personal life, how I was transitioning out of a high-paying corporate job, scared out of my mind that she was getting into this. Now, obviously, I don't know why, because the woman's, the best at what she does. But one of the things that I would tell you is your notes are critical. And I want you to write this statement down. Ruby, last time you and I talked, we talked about blank. Again, I'm going to say that again, because what I want you guys to remember is your lead follow-up is not to call and just go, hey, Ruby, how are you? Right? Yeah, at some level, are you going to try and build that connection again as you're getting on that call? Absolutely. But again, our intention of lead follow-up is to get them to move into action. So whether I'm doing my lead follow-up or whether I'm doing my leads lead follow-up, my whole goal is to get them to move into action. Right? Get them to go buy that next house. Make sure that they're ready to list the home and take advantage of today's market. Get that buyer to actually fill out a loan application. Whatever it may be, what process of sales you're in, my lead follow-up is to get them to move into action, period. So again, I'm going to say that. Ruby, hey, last time you and I talked, blank, this is what was going on. Where are you at with the lender? Whatever it may be, where are you at in the process of getting your home sold? Where are you at in the process of getting it listed? Or, you know, if let's just say there were things that they needed to do or take care of before you could actually get it listed. Are those things done? Are you following up with them on a weekly basis? I recently just had a seller, we're under contract. She's closing next week, which is exciting, but there were a couple weeks there before I put it on the market that she had things she needed to do to get the cabin prepared. Right. And so one of the things that I would tell you is every week I was calling her, if actually I would tell you is probably about every 2 to 3 days, I was calling her and I was saying, hey, Linda, last time you and I talked, you said you were working on this. How's it going? Is there anything I can help you with? Do you need anything else to feel comfortable and confident so we can get your home on the market and get it sold? Guys, again, it's the value that you bring from your notes. Your job is not to just call and say, hey, how are you? Just wanted to follow up with you, see how things are going. There's no action there. You're not taking any action. And you guys, I'm sorry, I may be a little bit harsh when I'm saying these things. The reason why I can mimic this so well is because I did it myself, right? It's what I was doing, especially as an expressive, because I don't love the rejection. I think everybody should love me. So just some key things to pay attention to. So number one, the one thing that I just really wanted to talk to you guys on was your lead follow-up. It's one thing that I think was critical through our process in prospecting school. The second thing that I want to talk to you about, and I know we're getting short on time. I have till 8:45, right? Sure. Well, if I don't and you don't want to listen to me, get off. It's okay. Just kidding. Okay. So the second thing that I want to talk to you about is a key element of building rapport. You guys, rapport is so critical when you're prospecting, whether you're cold calling, whether you're door knocking, whether you're even talking to friends and family. In today's world, it is more critical that people feel connected to you than they ever have before. It is your job to be that leader for them. And these elements, whether it's somebody you're brand new that you're speaking to, whether it's somebody that you have a relationship with, let's just say there's a day where, and it just happened, and this is why I can say this, where I wasn't having the greatest of days. But the key fundamentals of what I know how to do, that person never knew, right? I had a close friend that was going through some crazy stuff and I was not in the best of my days, but because I knew how to repeat and approve, because I knew how to do all these things, she still felt like I was there for her. So again, your key, and I want you guys to write this down. So rapport. Oftentimes as real estate professionals, there you go, lenders, real estate agents, brokers, managers, whoever you are I'm speaking to, as real estate professionals, we think having something in rapport is having something in common. If I have a dog, you have a dog too. How many of you have been repelled by those things? Somebody calls you, they don't even know you, and they're like, oh yeah, this happened to me, by the way. I was actually getting recruited to be a sales manager for a real estate team here in Salt Lake by one of the top real estate agents in the state of Utah. He came into our office and he said to me, he goes, and this is just a statement too, for those of you who do research before you do your lead follow-up, is, hey, Lynn, so I saw you went to Machu Picchu. And just so you guys know, as a woman who's single, and then a man who comes at me and has done research on me, guess what that did for me? Scared the heck out of me, creeped me out, Rick, right? So even if you're going to do research on your people you're following up with, you guys, a great salesman asks great questions and gets them to deliver that information. He could have easily said to me, hey, Linz, what are some things you like to do? Oh, you know what? I just got back from Machu Picchu. Okay, so this was years ago, but it's a great example of it. So just think about those things as you're doing that. So the 4 key elements in rapport, it is not having something in common. And I want you to write this statement down. Rapport is having a feeling of commonality, not something in common. For those that you don't know, if I'm got that first 10 to 15 seconds that I have the ability to build rapport and connection with these people, well, I need to have something of commonality, not something in common. I need to be the leader, not try to be their best friend. I need to be the professional, right? Not somebody they don't even know who's trying to just win them over. I just want you to think about those statements, okay? I know, again, some pretty bold statements, but there's some truth behind it. These guys don't know you in most cases. So it's having something of commonality, not something in common. So the first key element of building rapport, and I don't know my window here, so hopefully you guys can all see this, but the first key element of building rapport is your ability to repeat. And I'm going to use a different word than we probably have stated in most cases. Approve. I'm not affirming them because I don't agree with them a lot of the time. Okay. I just want them to feel approved that I listen to them. So 2 parts to this. Number 1, it causes you to actively listen. For those of you who are new, and what was really fun is at prospecting school is we had a lot of new agents at the prospecting school this week. This causes you to actively listen. I didn't realize this as an expressive, believe it or not, but your ability to actually repeat what they say, approve them, made me actively listen. So consciously, it caused me to slow down enough that I actually listened to what they were telling me, right? That I knew then, well, I might not ask question number 1, I might ask question number 4 because they went to number 4 fast. Okay, so your ability to repeat and approve is your first and foremost as a real estate salesperson, your ability to actually listen to what they're saying. Some people will tell you you don't need to do it throughout the whole call. I would tell you you do, and I would actually tell you it doesn't hurt you to continue to do it throughout your whole call. So why not? Because the second part of this is, right, it causes them to feel heard. It makes them feel like you're actually listening to them. Okay, this is the most critical, in my opinion, to the 4 key elements of rapport, the most critical one. Your ability to make them feel heard, seen, felt, whatever it is. Again, it's not that I approve that they don't want to use a real estate agent, right? It's that I heard them and then I'm listening to them and then I ask the next question, okay? The second key is your tonality. And there's 2 things to this that I want to speak to. Your upswings and your downswings. My challenge for you today, for those of you who are practicing your scripts and getting back to those fundamentals like I talked about in the business, is I want you to take your script you're working on the most or the script that you prospect the most. I want you to go back through it. Do you really know where your upswing should be? Are you actually paying attention to your tonality, right? And I want you to bring it to a Ruby or a Rick or whoever your broker manager is who's coaching you. And I actually want you to go through it with them. Do you know where your embedded commands should be? That's another thing, okay? An embedded command, I just use 2 lines under it for me when I do scripts, but that's, we should meet now, right? Is I'm going to use an embedded command. But the upswings and the downswings. An upswing creates doubt or question in the mind of the client. Hey, Ruby, what made you decide to choose that agent? Right? I want to go up. I'm going, what the heck? Why did you choose that person? Okay. Or when I use a downswing is when I want to create authority. Ruby, let me ask you, what works better for you? I'm going to use my embedded command. What works better for you? Right? Give some strength to your conversation. Afternoons or evenings. For those of you who know me, I'm an expressive. My nature was, hey, Ruby, what works best for you? Afternoons or evenings? Guys, there's no authority in that. No authority whatsoever. What works better for you? Afternoons or evenings? And I loved what Judy talks about at prospecting school. She says, use the karate chop, afternoons or evenings, right? And you're using your body. I used to do the up and the down with my hand because I am very, again, visual that I had to do that, right? If I'm using an upswing, I go up. If I'm using a downswing, I go down. Don't underestimate your tonality on your phone calls. Okay, your ability to use that. What's that, Ruby?
Come to role play.
Yeah, come to role play with Rick and Ruby. But it's your ability to create, essentially, I want to say this, not just the emotion, but the drama through your conversation. You don't want to sound like a script? Well, get your upswings and your downswings in a script. Practice it when I said when you're chanting it, when you're role playing it, when you're, just recording yourself. Are you paying attention to the ups and the downs of your voice? Okay, then the third one is your ability to mirror and match. Now, for those of you who watched my morning ascent a couple weeks ago, I did personality styles. There's so many things, you guys, that you can mirror and match. Not only are you going to mirror and match the tonality, maybe at some level repeating what they say is kind of a mirror and match. You can mirror and match their body language if I'm sitting in front of them. Okay, just for those of you, for a record, George taught me early on, if you have a table in front of you, and let's just say your client sits here, my job would be to sit here. I want to eliminate this, but not only do I want to eliminate that, I can then, right, this is a barrier if you sit here, but if I sit here, that eliminates the barrier between us, but then it also creates my ability to actually mirror and match their language, their body language. But then those of you who watch my personality styles, there's other things you can mirror and match, like their language. If I'm talking to an analytical, I might say something along the lines of, hey, Jason, the reason why you and I need to sit down is I'd love to share with you my processes on getting your home sold. I'm going to use their language that they use in mirror and matching. Okay, not only that, if your first 10 to 15 seconds, my coach taught me early on, if I say hi and they say hello, you're immediately out of rapport. You start your call off out of rapport. So again, just to pay attention to some things and getting into that mirror and matching is, if they say, this is Lindsey, I'm gonna say, Lindsey, this is Ruby. I'm gonna use their language in mirror and matching, but I'm also gonna use the tonality. You saw I didn't change my tone. You guys, for me, somebody who isn't used to that and wants to be the center of attention, because that's just what my personality style is, right? When I started, it was really hard for me to get those concepts down. What I realized though, is when I did it, it helped me build that connection a lot faster. And then the last one is your rate of speech. If you guys haven't watched it, there's a great 15-minute video that Tony Robbins does on this on YouTube. It's called Building Rapport. And he talks to, and I love it, my family laughs at me because they say that I can mimic him, but he talks to the rate of speech. And the two examples that he gives are somebody from New York City and somebody from Texas, right? You just have this old Southern draw, slow talking gentleman to this high, fast paced, let's go, kick butt, take names, New York person, right? And he said, how does this New York person feel when they're talking to this slow paced person? Well, I'm just going to use candid statements. Again, they feel like he's stupid, that he doesn't know anything, right? Because he's not fast enough. Then the second part of that is, how do these slow people feel about these fast people? They're arrogant, they're rude, they're not, right? They're not considerate because they're too fast in everything that they do. Don't underestimate your rate of speech as well, which again, if you're paying attention to your repeating and approving and your tonality, in that first 10 to 15 seconds, you're actually mirror and matching their language, you will naturally come to their rate of speech. So somebody who's fast speaking, my two personality styles, both of them are very fast, both of them very dominant, right? If I'm dealing with an amiable, I might have to lower my tone of voice a little bit. I might have to bring it in. Okay. If I have the analytical, I might have to, again, they're a little bit more on that side of it. I would say they're more of the Texan, right? The analytical and the amiable. I'm more of the New Yorker. Okay. So again, if you haven't watched that video, go and watch it. I challenge you to do so. You guys, hopefully this was helpful. Just some key things that I really saw were more critical today in today's market during prospecting school than ever. There was a gentleman that a lot of our agents actually called, who just, he was hard. It was hard. And actually I wanted to call him because I just wanted to have fun with it. But at the end, right, by day 2, he started being rude to some of our agents. And one of the things that I would tell you is what I've realized is how key these 4 things were. in every conversation that every agent that I listened to talked to him needed to work on some of these things. Not all of them, but most of them had one or the other that they needed to work on. So don't underestimate, like I said earlier, make sure your grip is tight on that golf club, right? But not in the sense that I'm gripping it too hard, in the sense that I'm paying attention to the soft things that made me successful, that made me who I am in my sales process. Because if I hit that ball and I swing for the fence like I used to in baseball, well, that ball in golf isn't going very far. But if I pay attention to those fundamentals in golf and I hit it like a dove, guess what? It goes a whole lot further. It's the same concept with our fundamentals to sales. Hit it like a dove, go out there today, make sure you're paying attention to what fundamentals you need to do to practice on today.